Hello everyone, my name is Lisette Moon. I am an officer at Mission Creek Correction Center for Women in Belfair. What my job title is I'm a programs and activities officer, which means I am down in the weekend. I am down in visiting, where I get to see the offenders' families come in, and that is very high point for contraband to be brought in. So my job is to pay attention, make sure everyone's well behaved, no rules are being broken, and make sure that my partner and I are both constantly paying attention, constantly when we bring them in, making sure we're doing a good and thorough job about panning them out, searching the visitors who come in, and making sure who's here to visit them is being approved. And then on when there's no visiting sessions, then I'm a gym officer. So I stay in the gym and watch them work out, watch them do crafting, they do painting, they do all sorts of different activities in the gym, which I am the only officer in there, and I oversee, make sure everyone again is doing what they're supposed to, coming in when they're supposed to, because they have their different times when they're supposed to be in there. Just making sure they're all well behaved and that there's no issues going on, and if there's issues, then address them. And also, my last day or two, depending on the week, I just stand yard. So I stand yard, watch all movement, watch all the offenders come out from different units, go to different programs, whether they stay and hang out in the yard, just paying attention and just going around and making sure that no one's off their baseline, no one is doing anything inappropriate. Again, just making sure that they're being safe and that they're being respectful and where they're supposed to be. I knew since I was about 18 years old, I knew I wanted to be, first off, I wanted to be a law enforcement. So that was my initial thoughts. So once I started going to school, and then I met my husband, and he also wanted to be law enforcement. So we were both studying the same thing. We had both received our goals. So then I knew once you get into law enforcement, it's kind of hard to get started, at least. And I knew being a corrections officer, because I knew someone, it's a lot quicker to get a job. I ended up getting my job within 2 months. 2 months, I believe it was 2 to 3 months I got hired.
After you graduated?
No, I got my job before I graduated.
Oh, okay.
So I started working before I graduated. I think I had one more semester, which is 3 months. One more semester left, and that's when I started applying, because I didn't want to be jobless after I graduated. So so once I became a corrections officer, after a few years, I've been in here for 2 years. After a year, I realized that it is so different than law enforcement. And now that I'm married and I want to start a family, I really don't want to risk not being able to come home. Where I know as a corrections officer, those chances are a lot more minimum than not an actual officer. So that's why I decided not to do that anymore. So I'm thinking either about moving up within the corrections industry, because there's a lot of opportunities to move up, and it's a lot, it takes a lot less time. And also, and if I don't go that route, I'm still in between. If I don't go in that route, I'm going to go towards being a community corrections officer, which is in the field. I didn't even have corrections officer in mind when I was thinking about law enforcement. It wasn't until we had a guest speaker, and she was talking about being a corrections officer, about the benefits, about the retirement plans, about the hours, about the money, and about how less stressful it is, which is something I appreciate a lot in my life, is not having too much stress, and because I want to live a happy, healthy life in the future. So when she was giving all these factors about being a corrections officer, that's what intrigued my interest, because then I said, you know what? I was like, this job sounds more appealing to me personally. I'm not speaking for everybody, but personally to me, it sounds more appealing than being a law enforcement. And again, the reasons for because I was thinking about my future. I have no children right now, but I plan to. And then I've seen, around how officers get shot a lot more. So that's something I really don't want to put on my family. I think I went above and beyond my qualifications. So I did a lot of volunteering in the law enforcement before, and I also went to school, and I had no criminal history, no drug history, nothing that really prevented me from getting the job. And when I went there, even when I was interviewing, I could realize that they were really impressed with my answers. They were really impressed with how I presented myself. It was quite a smooth process, and I knew I would not struggle to get a job. And sure enough, this is the first place I applied, and the first place that picked me up, so I stuck with them. Well, failure to me is also, like you said, it's an opportunity for growth. So there was a lot of instances in the very beginning where I didn't know really what's expected of me, what to do in certain type of scenarios. So yeah, I did a lot of failure type things. I wasn't successful the first time, but all I did was pay attention to what my coworkers did, because once I got hired and I was actually working, we always work with partners. So that's the good thing. So every time I had a different partner, every time I learned different things, and I just took the best qualities out of each one. But yeah, I faced a lot of failures, but it also helped me grow, because that's what made me who I am. Not being afraid to say yes, this is how it's done. And even though later on I found out maybe I was wrong and I did the wrong thing, at the end of the day I still end up learning. And the next time I faced that same situation, I came with better tools in my pocket.